Okay, this is one on which I'll show the types of things I carry in my camera bags. Now this is one such camera bag here. I have several for different cameras in different situations. But this, of course, includes this. Here is one of the most very versatile Sony camera. This is the Sony A77. Now I'll give you more details on this in other videos on the cameras, but this is takes an A mount, which is the also the Minolta autofocus mount, and it's a crop sensor camera, 24 megapixel, and it features one of the most versatile and craziest types of screens you could find. It, of course, does its thing of flipping up and down for those kind of angles, but it also swivels. It is one of the craziest, most versatile types of articulating screens that I've ever seen. And this takes get it open here. Okay, takes SD cards. Only one card slot, but still, it's a fantastic camera. It's can be a rather loud one in focusing, because with the Minolta mounts, they utilized a in-camera drive, and that would link up with the compatible lenses, and it was a fast enough system, and sometimes it would be bogged down a little bit, but it was noisy. It's not the kind of thing you could hide in a blind as well as some other cameras. But one of the things to notice, this has a mirror in it, but it's not a digital single lens reflex camera. It's the mirror is a translucent one. It stays in place. It doesn't move. The image comes right straight through to the sensor, but the mirror is utilized to help to incorporate some of the part of the autofocus mechanism, and so it makes for a very interesting system. And now, because it utilizes the translucent mirror, the finder is still a digital finder, and so it does still work great. It's a nice clear finder and everything. It has various focus modes. It does have video capability, and that is the camera that I have in this bag. And then some of the lenses, and these are all used lenses that I got at various like pawn shops and so forth, and even online. And so going through some of them, we have this one, and this one here was actually one that was originally could be a kit lens for that camera when the camera came out. And this is a 16 to 50 Sony 2.8 aperture. Now, it was made, this one particular one, just for the angle of coverage for crop sensor. But having that range and 2.8 aperture makes it very handy. And this one isn't doesn't have the autofocus drive. It has its own built-in motor, and so it makes for a nice companion lens to it. And I do like that angle of view, the 16mm for crop sensor, because my favorite angle of view for full frame has been 24mm equivalent. It gives you a nice wide angle, but I'm not really one for getting into like the extreme wide angles and so forth. And so that is a very nice workable type of focal length for me for wide angle. This here is another 2.8 aperture lens. This is a Tolkien, and this is 28 to 70, and this is full frame coverage here, so if I were to get a full frame A-mount type of camera, this would work with it. And so that's just that range. And then for here, we have a lens that is made also for crop sensor. This is a Tamron 10 to 24 millimeter, 3.5 to 4.5, and that gives a little extra angle of view when it's needed for certain times, and have a companion lens hood for it. I like to be able to get the lens hoods for the lenses when I get them, because otherwise sometimes they can be a little tricky to find if they're older lenses. Now, I should probably, before I go into the longer focal length, so it's a nice thing. This here, the Tamron, this doesn't have any built-in image stabilization or anything like that. Of course, the camera does. The camera does have built-in stabilization that works with the sensor. And so whatever lens you can put on it will be able to give you that stabilization capability. And this is a macro lens, 90 millimeter, I believe. Yeah, 90 millimeter f2.8. And macro lenses are handy to have. You can get, of course, close-up and macro capabilities in certain other lenses, but I think a prime macro probably tends to give you better overall quality. That's usually what I've found. And in this case, the lens hood is, in some of these types, is kind of built in, because the lens will be recessed in there, and so the barrel itself helps to act like a lens hood. So that's the Tamron SP 90 millimeter f2.8 macro. And getting into the front part of the case here, and we have a couple of lenses that fit into there. We have this one here. This one is Sony 5-300. That is a full frame type of lens, and I believe that this one usually is known for being pretty good quality, and so it's nice to have that kind of a range in there, giving you a moderate telephoto to a longer or semi-longer focal length. And so that's that one. Now getting on to the much longer focal length, not super long, but this is kind of unique. This is a, now mirror lenses sometimes, I think, may get a bad rap, even though they're the type of lens that's the choice for stargazers, for utilizing telescopes, mainly because of the mirror design, using that kind of a thing instead of the glass. It cuts down dramatically on chromatic aberration because you're working with mirrors and not lens elements as much. And so you're getting the light focused much better. Now, because of the way the mirror or catadioptric lenses are designed, you know, with that little center mirror in there where the that's used because the light comes in, it bounces off the mirror back here, bounces onto this front mirror, and then back finally through to go to the sensor. Now this is a unique type of mirror lens in that the Minolta autofocus reflex 500, it actually has autofocus. Usually don't find that in mirror lenses for cameras that they're normally manual focus. But of course having a mirror lens is going to be more compact, easier to carry on around a 500mm lens this way. But it will give you, because of the front mirror component in the middle, it will give you, with your highlights, kind of a donut pattern. And so, because of that, people may not feel it's as desirable as some other lenses, but the reflex catadioptric type of design shouldn't necessarily be overlooked. Now, also because of the design, these types of lenses usually only have one aperture, and in this case, like other 500mm cat lenses, mirror lenses, the aperture is f8. Now this also has a filter drawer in it, which I don't really utilize that much, but I do keep it in place to keep the extraneous light from going in there. But when you would get this, people could get it with like neutral density filters, and of course no camera bag should be without the classic nifty 50mm Minolta lens here, f1.7, which is certainly fast enough, and that can make for a very nice situation where you need some nice bokeh in the background, where you need to really isolate your subject, get in close at the angle of view is going to simulate basically what the eye sees as far as perspective, and so a good compact type of lens to have in your camera bag.